Let's talk turkey. Can you really say that you had a Thanksgiving without having a Thanksgiving Day turkey? Well, actually, about a quarter of Americans don't like turkey, and 30% of households no longer serve turkey on Thanksgiving. And the reason is simple. Turkey is not easy to cook. There's actually two really big issues with cooking a turkey. Number one, the skin. All really good chefs know skin doesn't really allow flavoring or salt to penetrate into the meat. And the second part is turkey just doesn't have that much fat. Because there's not that much fat, it has a tendency to dry out when you cook it all the way through. But could there be a better way? Could there be a secret ingredient that if you use, you'll have a delicious, juicy turkey every single time? Well, there is. Duck fat. Because everything tastes better cooked in duck fat. All right, so for this masterpiece turkey that we're about to make, we are going to need one whole turkey. This one's 12 pounds. However, if you're doing a Thanksgiving Day bird, it's like 25 pounds. Just double all these ingredients. We're also going to need about a half a cup of duck fat, 3 sticks of butter, 1 head and a few extra cloves of garlic, 2 lemons, along with your favorite seasoning blend. This is more of a French-inspired way to make a turkey, so I'm using a classic French blend, but you could stick with the common sage, thyme, and rosemary. And fresh probably would work better too. We also have some salt and pepper, a little bit of string for trussing your turkey, along with a turkey baster and a pastry bag, which I'll be explaining how we're going to be using that later. All right, step one, we're going to start off by clarifying our butter. To clarify, we're going to put it on the stove over low heat. I said low heat. Butter burns very easily, so you want to make sure you do this low and slow, and also resist the urge to do any stirring. We did go ahead and mince those leftover cloves of garlic and half of the shallot. Now that the butter is melted, we're going to take this over to the sink and skim off all of the milk solids that have floated to the top and pour off the clarified milk fat, making sure not to mix in any of the whey that settled to the bottom. All right, so here's where it gets a little bit interesting. We've clarified our butter, which is going to become somewhat solid at room temperature. So we're also going to take about a half a cup, 1-to-1 ratio of duck fat, which is fairly thin at room temperature, and blend them together. Mixing the butter and the duck fat together is that duck fat's somewhat liquidy at room temperature, whereas butter is somewhat solid at room temperature. So by doing a 1-to-1 mix, as it cools down, it's going to turn into a much easier paste to work with. Now, also to the duck fat, we're going to add in our minced garlic and shallots, along with our preferred seasoning blend, and zest from 1 whole lemon, and also the juice from that lemon. Now that all of our fats, herbs, and spices are blended together, we're going to place this in the refrigerator to help bring it down to room temperature faster. All right, so now that we're waiting for the butter and fat mixture to congeal in the fridge, we're going to do our next step, and that is carefully separate the skin from the meat by placing our hands underneath the skin, starting from the neck portion of the turkey. As you're working your fingers underneath the skin, there are a few membranes that you're going to have to break through, including the portion where the drumstick is attached to the body. But it's important that we do get that portion of the skin loose as well. So now that we get the skin separated from the turkey meat, our next step is to thoroughly salt the inside of the turkey. After we thoroughly salt the inside of the turkey, next we're going to take a couple pieces of short string and tie them tightly around the drumsticks. And this is to keep all the duck fat that we're going to pipe in underneath the skin from leaking out through the drumsticks. So now that our duck and butterfat mixture has congealed, we're going to place it into a pastry bag and then pipe it underneath the skin of the turkey. Now it's best to avoid using any type of metal tip for your pastry bag because you don't want to tear the skin. As you pipe it in, you kind of want to massage it along to make sure you get it all the way into the turkey along with down into the drumsticks. All right, so now after we piped in all the duck fat mixture underneath the skin, we're going to take the remaining lemon, cut it in half, and place it into the cavity along with the head of garlic after the head's been cut off. All right, now the next step is to truss the turkey, and that's going to be shown in another video. All right, so now we have the turkey trusted and also seasoned with our duck fat, and we're about to put it in the oven. However, before we do that, we did take the leftover duck fat, spread it on top, and I'm going to take some of my seasonings and also put it on the skin. Now, as this turkey's roasting, a lot of that fat that we put inside underneath the skin is going to melt and baste the turkey, and ultimately, though, it's going to start to leak out the bottom. So we really want to take advantage of that, and we're going to do that by adding in some roasted root vegetables to really suck up all that duck fat and seasonings. So I'm going to put in some onions and some lightly salt and peppered carrots and potatoes. So these potatoes are just little halved potatoes that we blanched for about 15 minutes in hot water. The carrots are just coarsely diced carrots. The potatoes are actually a little bit of a difficult thing to roast because they have so much starch in them, and I created another video just to show you how to get around that. Okay, so now it's time to put it into the oven. So to roast, we're going to start off by preheating our oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And then as soon as we place the turkey into the oven, we're going to lower it down to 325 degrees. By starting it off really hot, that's going to help crisp up the skin, and then after lowering it down, it's going to ensure we have an even cooking. Now for this particular size turkey, which is 12 pounds, it's going to take roughly 3 hours to roast. But our magic number is 162 degree internal temperature. That is the perfect temperature to ensure the turkey is cooked all the way, but won't actually dry out. All right, so we just took our turkey out of the oven. We got it up to an internal temperature of 162 degrees. And our next step is to cover it with foil and just let it rest for about 20 minutes. To serve, we're going to start off by removing the string we used to truss the turkey. And then we're going to remove the drumsticks and wings first, and then slice off the breasts. Trust me, when you try this turkey recipe, you'll never make a turkey any other way again.